People often judge others by their uniform, not knowing the stories hidden beneath it. When a tired janitor stood before a decorated army general, holding back tears and saying only 7 words, "My daughter has this ring too, sir," every officer in the room froze. What followed changed lives, reputations, and destinies forever. This is a story of a single father, a forgotten past, a daughter fighting silently for her dreams, and a truth that shook an entire military academy. In a prestigious military academy, where discipline echoed through every hallway, Ryan Malik, a 42-year-old single dad, silently pushed his janitor cart each evening. Students walked past him without noticing his tired eyes or the slight limp in his right leg. His uniform smelled of cleaning detergent, and his hands were rough from years of hard labor. Yet whenever his phone lit up with a message from his 12-year-old daughter Hania, a genuine smile broke through the exhaustion. Hania was Ryan's world. She was bright, kind-hearted, and determined to make her late mother proud. Ever since her mother, Captain Zara Malik, had passed away while serving in the army, Hania held tightly to the one memory she had of her, a military insignia ring, engraved with the Academy's emblem. She wore it on a chain around her neck like a treasure. Every night when Ryan came home to their small apartment, Hania would greet him with warm food saved from dinner at school. They lived modestly, but with love. Ryan worked extra shifts so Hania could study at a better school near the academy. He wanted her to grow up surrounded by excellence, even if he couldn't afford it. One morning, Hania came home from school unusually quiet. She hesitated before she spoke. "Baba, I applied for the academy's young leadership program. Only 5 students from the city get selected. If I get in, I'll be closer to my dream." Ryan paused. He knew Hania wanted to follow her mother's path, but the thought of her facing the same risks frightened him. Still, he couldn't dim her ambition. "If this is what your heart wants, I'll stand behind you," he said softly, placing a kiss on her forehead. But dreams often attract challenges. Days later, Ryan overheard 2 officers whispering while he was mopping the hallway. "The general hates exceptions. He'll never pick a janitor's child. Leadership requires pedigree." One sneered. The words pierced Ryan like a blade, but he stayed silent. He needed the job. Hania prepared relentlessly. On the day of the final interview, she wore her mother's ring under her shirt, holding it for courage. Her confidence shook when she entered the grand hall. The general, a stern and heavily decorated officer, barely looked at her. His tone was sharp, judging, and dismissive. "You come from an ordinary background. Why should the academy choose you?" Hania swallowed her fear. "Because leadership isn't inherited, sir. It's earned through courage, integrity, and heart." Her voice quivered, but not her conviction. After hours of waiting, the result board was posted. Students rushed forward. Hania searched for her name. It wasn't there. Ryan saw her shoulders fall, her eyes fill, and her small hands grip the ring as if asking her mother why. On their walk home, she stayed silent, tears falling one by one. Ryan wanted to break down with her, but he stayed strong. "Failure doesn't define you," he whispered, but deep inside, something broke, a father's helplessness. Little did they know, a storm was coming, one that would drag their silent past into the spotlight, exposing truths the academy had buried, and it would all begin with a forgotten ring. The next morning, Ryan reported to the academy as usual, but whispers followed him. Some students mocked Hania's rejection, hinting that children of janitors should know their place. Ryan clenched his broom tighter, but he didn't react. He had learned long ago, endurance is also strength. Later that week, chaos erupted. A high-profile military inspection was scheduled, and the academy staff were under immense pressure. Ryan was instructed to polish the memorial gallery, an honor rarely given to janitorial staff. The gallery held photos, medals, and rings of fallen soldiers who had served the academy. As Ryan dusted the glass display of honored heroes, his eyes landed on a familiar name, Captain Zara Malik, fallen in service. His heart tightened. Beside her photograph was the same academy ring his daughter wore, the one Zara had left for Hania before she went on her final mission. Ryan's hands trembled. Memories rushed back, salutes, uniforms, vows of service, and the day he lost everything. Suddenly, the general himself walked in with officers, discussing the upcoming inspection. Ryan straightened, stepping back respectfully. But as he turned, his cleaning cloth accidentally brushed the display, causing the ring stand to tilt slightly, not damaging, but enough to draw attention. The general looked sharply at him. "You there? Be careful. Do you even know what that ring represents?" he barked. Ryan froze. Years of silence pressed on his chest. But when he saw his wife's name behind the glass, her sacrifice treated like a relic while their daughter was dismissed. Something inside him rose, with controlled emotion. He looked straight at the general. "Sir, with respect, my daughter has this ring too." The room fell silent. Officers stared, shock, confusion, disbelief. The general narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Ryan took a breath he had been holding for years. "My wife, Captain Zara Malik, served under this academy. This ring you guard in that display was hers. Before leaving for her last mission, she gave an identical ring to our daughter. Hania Malik, the girl rejected from your program, not because she lacked merit, but because she lacked pedigree. Gasps echoed. A few younger officers shifted uncomfortably. The general's stern expression faltered. "You're Zara's husband." Ryan nodded. Tears brimmed, but his voice stayed steady. "I was once an officer too. I left after her death to raise our daughter alone. I took any job to survive. I never asked for favors. But I expected fairness, at least for her." The general's face softened for the first time. His voice lowered. "No one told me. I served with Zara. She saved my life once." The room was emotionally still. The general requested to meet Hania the next day. When Hania arrived, clutching the ring around her neck, she stood nervously before the same men who had dismissed her. The general approached her gently. "You carry a legacy with honor. I was wrong to judge you." He removed his military cap and bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect rarely seen. Then, in front of officers and cadets, he announced, "Hania Malik is reinstated, not as a favor, but because she embodies the values this academy stands for. Leadership is not a birthright, it is earned." Students clapped. Some who once mocked her lowered their heads in shame. Hania looked at her father with teary eyes. Ryan smiled, no longer a janitor in that moment, but a husband honoring his wife, and a father witnessing justice for his child. But this was only the beginning of how that one sentence changed everything.